On the previous lesson, you have learned how to find the third term of a trinomial to make a trinomial a perfect square trinomial. Now, you're going to learn how to apply that concept in solving quadratic trinomials by completing the square. So, what are you waiting for? Let's start!
Now, let's discuss first the different steps in solving quadratic equation by completing the square. Given that ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a should not be equals to 0. Step 1. Transform the equation to ax squared plus bx equals negative c. Step 2. Make sure that a should be equal to 1. Step 3. Produce a perfect square trinomial or PST on the left side of the equation and add the third term of the PST to both sides of the equation. Step 4. Factor the result of PST in step 3. Step 5. Apply the square root property. Step 6. Do the checking and conclusion. For you to understand better how to apply these steps, we will move on to the examples. Okay, now example number 1. Solve the quadratic equation x squared minus negative 4x minus 5 equals 0 by completing the square. Okay, the very first step that we are going to do is express this expression in ax squared plus bx equals negative c, meaning we're going to transpose negative 5 to the other side of the equation. That becomes the equation x squared minus 4x equals positive 5. Now, you already discussed or we already know this one. Make this equation a perfect square trinomial. How? So, we're going to look for the third term. Okay? So, what would be the third term of this trinomial? Okay, in solving this third term, we're going to have it like this. Okay, in solving the third term, we're going to use this formula. B over 2 squared. So what is our b? Our b is negative 4. So it will become negative 4 over 2 squared. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 squared. So what is our negative 2 squared? Yes, positive 4. Meaning the third term of the trinomial is 4 to make this trinomial a perfect square trinomial. So if we add positive 4 here, we will also add positive 4 to the other side. So we will simplify further. It will become x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 9. Okay, next we will factor this out. So it will become x minus what is the square root of 4? 2 equals 9. Then we will simplify. It will become x minus 2 squared because there are 2x minus 2 equals 9. This time, we're going to extract square root or the square root property. Extract square root here. So, if we're going to extract square root, we will cancel out the exponent 2. So, it will become x minus 2 equals positive negative 3. In solving x, there are two scenarios. Okay? So, we will transpose negative 2 to the other side. So, it will become now x equals positive negative 3 plus 2. So the scenarios are this. So it could be x equals positive 3 plus 2. This is the first. And the second would be x equals negative 3 plus 2. Why? Because the 3 here has two values. It could be positive 3 or negative 3. That's why it's positive, negative. So we will solve for x. So we will solve further. X, what is 3 plus 2? Yes, 5. And the other one, x equals negative 3 plus 2. The answer is negative 1. So this is now our answers. X equals 5 and x equals negative 1. Now, the last step that we're going to do is we're going to check our answers. If the checking is very important because we're going to know if our answers are correct. So, here, we're going to copy the original given, which is x squared minus negative 4x minus 5 equals 0. Then, we will substitute 5 to x. So, it will become 5 squared minus 4 times 5 minus 5 equals 0. The question mark, is it equals to 0? We will find out later on. So 5 squared is 25 minus 20 minus 5. Is it equals to 0? We will know. Okay, 25 minus 20, that's 5. 5 minus 5, is it equals to 0? You will know. And 5 minus 5, oh, yes, it's true. 0 is equals to 0. Check. And that is now how we find how we check the first answer. Okay, now let's move on to the second. So, we will use, again, the original given, x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. We're going to substitute negative 1 to x, so it will become negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 minus 5. Is it equals to 0? So question mark above the equal sign because we don't know if they are equal. Okay? So negative 1 squared meaning negative times negative, that's meaning positive, so positive 1. Negative 4 times negative 1, that is positive 4. Positive 4 minus 5, is it equals to 0? Okay, that's question mark. So 1 plus 4, that's 5, minus 5. Is it equals to 0? Yes, it is now equal to 0. Okay, meaning since our checking both our two values of x satisfies our checking, so we could conclude, therefore, our conclusion, I will highlight. We can conclude our conclusion, therefore, the values of x in the equation x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0 are 5 and negative 1. Okay, that's all for example number 1. Okay, now let's move on to example number 2. Negative x squared equals negative 20x. So the very first thing that you're going to do is transform this equation in the form of ax squared plus bx equals negative c. So since, as you can observe, there's no c here, so what are we going to do is transpose negative 20x to the other side. That becomes the equation negative x squared plus 20x equals 0. Now, second step. The second step, class, is you need to make sure that your a should be equal to 1, positive 1. So since our a here class is equal to negative 1, we're going to make it positive by dividing the whole terms to negative 1. Okay? So, after dividing it by negative 1, it will become positive. It will now become positive. X squared minus 20 divided by negative 1, that is minus 20x. And 0 divided by negative 1 is still 0. Okay? Okay, good. Now, the next step is we're going to find the third term to make this expression here a perfect square trinomial. Okay? Okay. So, we still review. We can find the third term of the expression by using this formula. B over 2 squared. So what is our b? Our b here is negative 20. So negative 20 divided by 2 squared. What is negative 20 divided by 2? The answer is negative 10. Negative 10 squared. And the answer is, yes, positive 100. So since we already find our third term, we will write it here. Okay, 100. The third term is 100, and if you add 100 to other side of the equation, of course, you will do the same on the other side as well. So now let's proceed. We will simplify. X squared minus 20x plus 100 equals 100. Okay, now we will factor it out. You already have this one when you were grade 8, so I hope there's no problem about it. That is factoring quadratic trinomial or factoring perfect square trinomial. So x square root of x squared is x. Copy the sign, and since this is plus here, the answer or the factors have the same sign. So minus, the same sign, minus as well. Square root of 100 is 10. Okay? And now we will simplify further. We will transform it in the expression x minus 10 squared. Y squared because there are 2x minus 10. Simple as that. Equals 100. Now we're going to apply completing the square or extracting square root property. So, extracting square root, we put square root here and square root also on the other side. That will cancel out the squared. Then it will become x minus 10. So, what is square root of 100? The answer is, yes, you're right. Positive, negative 10. Now, at this moment, we're going to transpose negative 10 to the other side so that the only term that will left on the right side of the equation is only x. So it will become x equals positive negative 10 plus 10. Okay, now we're going to continue on this side. So we're going to solve the two scenarios, which are x equals positive 10 plus 10 and x equals negative 10 plus 10. Okay, so we will continue. X equals 10 plus 10. Yes, you're right. Very easy. 20. And the other one, x equals negative 10. Negative 10 plus 10 is, yes, good. That will become 0. So we're going to box our values of x. And of course, we will not be so confident about it. We need to do the checking. Okay, we will do the checking. Okay, let's have first the first value of x, which is 20. So we will copy the original given, which is negative x squared equals negative 20x. Next thing that you're going to do is substitute the value of 20 to x. So it will become negative 20 squared equals negative 20 times 20. And of course we will put question mark here because we don't know what will be, or we don't know if they are equal. Okay, let's proceed. That is negative, what is 20 squared? That is 400. So negative 400 equals 20. Negative 20 times 20, yes, still negative 400. And our answer is correct or true. Now let's proceed to the other one. We will copy the original given. Negative x squared equals negative 20x. Next, substitute the second value of x, which is 0, to our x here. So it will become negative 0 squared equals negative 20 times 0. So negative 0 squared, that is equal to 0. And of course, there will be a question mark because we don't know if they're equal. Negative 20 times 0 is 0. So 0 equals 0? Yes, it's true. Now we already proven that the values that we have solved, which are 20 and 0, are both true if we're going to substitute it to the original given. Thus, we will have our conclusion. Our conclusion, therefore, the values of x are 20 and 0. That's it. As simple as that. Now let's proceed to the next example. Now we are at example number 3. I hope you are still with me and I hope you are still alive and kicking at this point in time. Okay, now let's proceed in example number 3, which is 3x squared plus x equals 2. Okay, the very first thing that we're going to do is we make sure, or we need to transpose the expression or the equation into the form of ax squared plus bx equals negative c. But miss, the given is already in that form, so no problem. We will now proceed in step 2, which is we need to make sure that our a is equals to 1. At this given class, our a is not equal to 1, but our a here is equals to 3. Okay? So what are we going to do? Very simple. We need to divide the whole equation by 3. So it will become 3x squared plus x equals 2. Divide the whole terms or the whole things or the whole terms by 3. That makes the equation becomes x squared plus x plus 3 equals 2/3. Okay, now we are dealing with fraction this time. Okay, now our next thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the third term, x squared plus, we could express x over 3 as 1 over 3x plus blank, we don't know what we're going to add later on. 2 over thirds equal, I'm sorry, I will erase it, plus blank. Okay, now we were going to use again our magic formula, which is b divided by 2 squared. Okay, I hope you are still with me. Now, let's do on the rigorous part. What is our b? Our b here, class, is 1/3. So it will become 1/3 divided by 2 squared. So it will become a complex fraction. So we will do it like this. 1/3, make the operation multiplication and reciprocal of the 2. The reciprocal of that is 1/2. Okay. 1/2 squared. So you multiply 1 times 1, that is 1. 3 times 2, that is 6 squared. So it will become 1 over 36. Okay, so what we're going to add on the terms is 1 over 36. 1 over 36. Okay, so we will simplify. It will become x squared plus 1/3 x plus 1 over 36 equals, what's 2/3 plus 1 over 36? Wow. Okay, so let's make it like this. So 2/3 plus 1 over 36, you need to find the GCF. Okay, the GCF of 36 and 3. So I think their GCF is 36. Okay, 36 divided by, okay, I will use another color pen. I will use green pen this time. 36, oh, that's big. 36 divided by 3, that is 12, right? Then 12 times 2, that is 24. Okay. And now 36 divided by 36, that is 1 times 1, that is still 1. Now we will simplify further. It will become x squared plus 1/3 x plus 1 over 36 equals 24. Okay, I will continue it here. 24 over 36 plus 1 over 36. We will add the numerator and copy the denominator, 36. So we will copy 25 over 36 here. Okay, now next, we're going to factor. Factor, prepare 2 sets of parentheses, copy 25 over 36. Okay, x plus, since it's plus, then they have the same sign. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 36 is 6. 1 over 6. Okay, next is, we will simplify it by having it as x plus 1 over 6 squared equals 25 over 36. Now we're going to use the square root property, which we're going to extract the square root. Extract the square root, cancel squared, so it will become, I will have it here, class, I hope you are still following, x plus 1 over 6 equals positive, negative. Always remember, if we're going to extract square root, the answer will be positive and negative. Square root of 25, that is 5, over square root of 36, that is 6. Okay, so next, we're going to transpose 1 over 6 to the other side. So it will become x equals positive negative 5 over 6 minus 1 over 6. Okay, now we're going to solve for the two scenarios. Okay, the two scenarios will be x equals 5 over 6, positive 5 over 6, minus 1 over 6, and the second one would be x equals negative 5 over 6 minus 1 over 6. As we have learned in our fractions, if they have the same denominator, they are similar fractions. If they are similar fractions, then we could add or subtract directly the numerator. So 5 minus 1. So 5 minus 1 is 4 over 6. And we need to simplify further. Simplify 4 over 6. That would become 2 over 3. And that is now the first value of x. Okay, now let's move on to the second value of x. Okay, x equals, copy the denominator 6, negative 5 minus 1, that will become negative 6 over 6, and the answer is negative 1. Thus, this is the second values of x. And as I've said, we will not be confident, we should not be confident on our answers. We need always do the checking. So we will do the checking. Okay, we'll do the checking. Checking on the first and checking on the second value. Okay, so we will use the original given, which is 3x squared plus x equals 2. Now we're going to use or substitute 2/3 to the value to the x on the given equation. So it will become 2 over 3 squared plus 2 over 3, is it equal to 2? Okay, here. Now we will simplify. It will become 4 over 9 plus 2 over 3, is it equal to 2? Okay, then it will become 12 over 9 plus 2 over 3, is it equal to 2? Okay, now we're going to add them together. Their LCD is 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1 times 12 is 12, plus 9 divided by 3, that's 3, times 2. 9 divided by 3, it's 3 times 2, it's 6, equals 2. So that's 18. I'm sorry. So I will write it here. So that's 18 divided by 9 equals 2. So that will become 2 equals 2. Yes, it's correct. Now let's move on in the second. So it will become 3x squared, you will use the original given, equals 2. Substitute negative 1 plus negative 1 squared. 3 negative 1 squared is 1 minus 1 equals 2. Of course, there's a question mark here. So it will become 3 minus 1 equals 2, question mark again because we don't know if they are equal. Then 2 equals 2, and yes, it's correct. Hooray! And next, the conclusion. Okay, therefore, the values of x are 2/3 and -1. That's all for today for solving quadratic equation by completing the square. I hope you learned something and you are now ready to answer the formative assessments. Thank you and God bless.